Hey, how's everybody doing today? This me coming back at you, Derek Tadpole Dallas, Mary Dallas baby boy. I was coming to talk to you today. I want to tell y'all, first of all, thank you for all the people that's been subscribing and sharing the channel. Thank you for just even taking the time, because there's many other channels out there that you could be on, but thank you for taking the time to even listen to what I have to say. And I said, I want to share the things, like I said, that I've learned. But I want to let you know that I'm very grateful. I have much gratitude for you, because you can pass right by this channel. So the very thought that you take the time to look at what I'm saying and hear what I'm saying, I really appreciate that. I want to talk about something, a very difficult topic today. I want to talk about, I'm in my car. I had to find a place to put this darn phone. But anyway, I want to talk today about a very difficult subject for a lot of people, and it's just that I want to share some things that I've learned through dealing with this topic, and that is about processing grief. How to process through grief. You know, in this life that we live, none of us exempt. None of us are exempt from dying, and I haven't met anybody myself that's not going to die. You know, it's a very difficult subject to talk about, because, you know, it spooks a lot of people. You know, it's like some people don't even want to talk about it. It's just hard. The bottom line is it's just hard, because we as humans, we want to know about what's going on in life. We want to know. We don't like uncertainties. We don't like not knowing stuff. And death is one of those things where, you know, we don't really know, you know, and so it's kind of hard to deal with it. But I just want to talk about some things that I learned in my life, how to process through grief, because it really helped me to be a better person, to get a better perspective on a ton of things in my life. And I think about like if you hear about somebody that passed away, you know, you go through stages of emotions. You really do. If it's somebody distant and far away, yeah, you can kind of have a little bit of understanding or compassion, or even some thoughts about it, like, man, that got to be sad, that got to be rough, you know, they lost their child. But when death finally visits your house, it visits your reality, where you are dealing with death in your house, a family member, a loved one, a friend. It is a hard pill to swallow, because you have to deal with so many different facets of your emotions, you know, and many of them are hard to process, because now, unlike watching something on TV where you could be sad about it, or watching something or hearing about one of your somebody distant in your family or whatever, once it visits you, now it makes you have to deal with some emotions that's not always easy. And I want to just talk about some stages that I found out about, stages that you go through. Like, you hear about somebody that just died. I mean, they just died. Somebody you know, somebody you're close to, a family member, a friend, or whatever. You find out maybe they was in the hospital, or you find out that they got killed in a car accident, or somebody murdered them, or whatever the case may be. You find out that they're dead. One of the first emotions that we go through is unbelief. No, it can't be. Some people go to praying, they do all kind of things. They're like, please tell me it's not real. It's like you go into a mode to protect yourself from dealing with this reality you don't even want to deal with. You can't believe it. That's one of the things you go through. You go through unbelief, and I believe that's the first thing that we go through, because you don't hear nobody die and then everybody be like, yes. No, you pretty much be like, oh no, you don't want to deal with it. So that's your way of protecting yourself from this new truth. This can't be. People scream, holler, they faint. You don't know what emotion they're gonna go through, but because it hits them all of a sudden, it's like you get a shock. It's like a shock that you go through. And that's just one of the emotions. Another one people go through is anger. And I'm saying you process through these emotions. You get angry. You get angry. You get frustrated. You want to go. You want revenge, especially if somebody kills somebody. You go through a rage if somebody kills somebody that you love, or somebody did something negligent and caused somebody to die. You know, somebody was driving reckless. I remember my goddaughter got killed in a car accident, and this guy was driving reckless, and it was like he hit them, and he pushed them into oncoming traffic. And 6 people, my goddaughter, she was 17, her auntie, her grandma, her 13-year-old cousin, and 2 twin 4-year-old boys all got killed in one accident. I mean, it was tragic. And my emotion was, and I didn't say anything to my wife and all them at the time, but I felt rage, and I wanted revenge. I wanted revenge on this guy. I was angry because it was senseless to me. It was careless, it was senseless, and I felt rage. I felt the rage. And so that was one of the emotions that I felt during that time. I felt that, you know, because that's something that I felt that could have been avoided. I really do feel like that could have been avoided. But I'm gonna say something about that later. I feel like that could have been avoided. Then you go through bargaining. People get to where they bargain, like, no, if it could have just been me, if I would have been there, and we have these people that really feel like, and I've done it, we feel like, oh, if I would have just told this to her, if I wouldn't have let her take my car, or if I wouldn't have let him go to the store, if I would have just told him no, or if I would have just stayed there a little bit longer, or if I wouldn't have left when I did, whatever it may be. That's something that you go through, because you go through bargaining. You really feel like it's something that you could have done to stop them from dying. We really have that. We really feel like it's something we could have done. And I'm talking about these emotions because many of them you can get trapped in them. And I'll talk about that. Then you go through confusion. You go through confusion because our human mind wants to be able to do something about stuff. And when we can't come up with an answer to many things, sometimes we'll put our own spin, or we'll come up to our own conclusion to kind of settle something in our mind. Even though your conclusion might be 100% wrong, you still will come up with a conclusion because you feel like this is what makes sense to me. This is what keeps me in a safe place. This is how I deal with this. This is how I'm gonna deal with it. I'm just gonna act as if they're not dead. I'm just gonna act as if they're not dead. That's what I'll do. I'll just act as if it didn't happen. Or you can get trapped in the business, being busy. I'm just gonna work, and I'm just not gonna deal with it. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna work. And anytime they call me in, I'm gonna work, because you are trying to avoid the reality that someone you loved is gone. You're trying to process through this emotion. You're thinking about all these things. And you have many other emotions. And don't get me wrong, because I want to say something to you, because I don't want you to think that I'm heartless or your emotions are not real, because your emotions are real. They are real. And you're going to feel some stuff that you never thought you would feel. And I remember when my mama died like 16 years ago. And I remember I was so angry with my wife. She didn't do anything wrong, but I was angry, and I didn't realize what I was going through. And I thank God that she had the wisdom and patience to deal with me through that time, because I went around, I'm talking about like 9 days, I can tell you, I went around with my head like in the clouds. Sometimes it was in the clouds, sometimes it was in dirt. About 9 days, I didn't care if I lived or died. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I didn't care if I walked out in the middle of a highway and I got hit by a transfer truck. It didn't matter to me, because when my mama died, you got to remember this. I'm one of three children that she had. I'm the youngest of 3. And when she died, I never knew life without my mama. I never knew life without her. And for her to be dead, man, I'm telling you, for her to be dead, that was something else. Because I did not know life without my mama. I didn't know how I was going to make it. I didn't know how I was going to make it without my mama. Because she was all I had. She was all I had. And It was rough. It was very rough. So I was angry and I took out a lot of my anger on my wife. But she never retaliated with me. She was wise enough to let me process through it. And I thank God for that. She was wise enough to let me process through it. And I remember my mama before she died. My mama died of small cell lung cancer. She was a tough little cookie. I'm telling you, she was tough. My mom was like 4'11", but she was a warrior. She might have been, she should have been, she moved around and she was tough like she was 6'8". She was tough, boy. I'm telling you, she was tough. Raising 3 kids with no husband. You know, we really struggled. But she always loved us. She wasn't perfect, but she always loved us. And so I remember when she got diagnosed with cancer. Do her whole process. She died 15 months after she got diagnosed, and I never forget it because she got diagnosed on my wife's birthday, October the 10th. October the 10th, she got diagnosed with cancer, and she died 15 months later on December the 5th of 2004 at 8:36 p.m. My mama died. But I remember doing that process to see her going down. She was a tough little woman. I saw her going down. She took cancer treatment. She took chemo, radiation like it was nothing. One thing I noticed about her, she never complained. She never complained about nothing. She never complained. And I was like, I just wondered in my mind many times, what is she going through? Because I couldn't live it for her. One thing about a person, when a person is sick, truth be told, no matter what you do, you can be there for them, but that sickness is on them. That sickness is on them. Nothing you can do about it. You can do whatever you do to comfort them and talk to them and serve them and bring stuff to them. But the truth is, that sickness is something that they're dealing with, truth be told. It's a sickness that they're dealing with. So my mama, and it's between them and God. It really is. It's between them and God. Because nobody can really help you through that. Nobody can help you through that. You are processing through something. So I remember my mama, and I'm just gonna fast forward through all her process and her not complaining. But I remember one day that she was laying on her bed, and she had a hospital bed, and she had the oxygen mask in her nose. And at this time, she had to start really deteriorating. She was really withering away. And she was laying in the bed in a fetal position. And I looked at my mama on that bed. I was in the other room sleep. Let me back up. I was in the other room sleep, and I never forget it. God woke me up. It's like he tapped me and said, go in that room and look at your mama. Go in the room and look at your mama. And so, after he said it the second time, I got on up, and I went in the room where my mama was at, and I looked at her. She had the oxygen mask on. The oxygen machine was in there, and it was pumping the oxygen, and she was in her bed, and she was like in a little fetal position. At this time, my mama might have been about 60-something pounds. She was literally like skin and bones. But she never complained about nothing. But I was looking at her. She was asleep. She never knew I was in there. And as I looked down at my mama, I'll never forget what God said to me. He said, look at your mama. And I looked down, it was hard. He said, look at her. And I saw her dwindling away. She wasn't who I had grew up with, and I saw her. And he said to me, he said, you done prayed for her, you done fasted, you done read the Bible, you done read scripture to her, you don't quote scripture to her. You don't told her to. You don't said the word to her. You quoted the word to her. He said you done done everything you know to do. That's what he said. You done everything you know to do. And she's still dying. Now what are you going to do? And I stood there with tears flowing down my face, trying to think of what answer would make God marvel at the question he asked me. He said, you done all these things and she's still dying. Now what are you going to do? And I came to learn something during that moment. Anytime God asks you a question, It's not because he needs an answer. It's because you need a revelation. You need a revelation about something. And I'm sitting up there thinking, what am I gonna do? What's the right answer? What's the right answer? I done everything. And through the tears, it felt like somebody literally reached down into my skull and pulled my whole skeletal system out of my body, and I felt like a blob of flesh on the floor. I never felt so hopeless and helpless in my life, because I didn't know the answer. I didn't know what to do. And let me tell you what I realized in that moment. I realized in that moment that it comes a time in your life where your last prayer has been answered. And I remember something else God asked me in that time. He said, if you had $1 million, what more could you do for her? Because, you know, sometimes we think money is the answer to everything. If I just had more money, if I had more money, I had $1 million or whatever. God showed me something. All $1 million would have did for my mama was to help her die in a more comfortable bed. That's all it would have done. A better hospital, more comfortable bed. That's all it would have done. So when I was on a blob, feeling like a blob on that floor, I said to myself, all I'm gonna do, all I can do, and I thought about it, all I can do is love her with all I have as long as she's here. And God said, that's all you can do. And I came to the end of myself, and what I came to understand during that moment is we are limited resources. We are limited resources. It's only so much we can do. The hardest thing you can do in a time when you're processing through grief is not accept your humanity. You are not God. You can't. If it was up to us for nobody that we love or care about to die, nobody would never die. Nobody would never die, because we don't want to deal with this stuff. We don't want to even fathom in our minds. So I couldn't even fathom in my mind my mama being dead at one point in my life. I couldn't even fathom it. And so many people get stuck. It's certain things that can get you stuck when you're processing grief. And I'm gonna tell you a couple of them. One of the things you can get stuck in is guilt. You can get stuck in guilt because you're really feeling like during this time, oh, if I would have done something. And now that this person is gone, you feeling like if I could have just did this or did that. If I would have just said this or said that. Or I could have, you really feeling like it's something that you could have done about it. But let me tell you something, you're not God. You can't control nothing about that. You can't control it. Now you can fool yourself into thinking that you can, but you can't control it. Ain't nothing about it you can control. Nothing you can control, because if you could, they would have never left. And you wouldn't even be having this conversation. But let me tell you what guilt does to you while you're processing through grief. Guilt is like you taking a shovel and you digging and you digging and you digging and you digging, and you don't dug a real big hole, and you saying, I'm gonna get out this hole. I'm gonna get out this hole. I'm gonna get out this hole. But you keep digging down, down, down. You say, if I could have done something about it, if I'd have said this, or you digging and you digging, but you think you're gonna get out. But you'll never get out of the hole digging down into it. And you digging a hole that you're putting yourself into that you cannot get out of. Because you're dealing with, you processing it the wrong way. You're processing through this emotion the wrong way. And I'm gonna tell you something with guilt. There is no drug you can take. You can go drink, you can go party, you can have sex, you can work, you can play your PlayStation, you can do all these things to try to get your mind off of it. But there is no drug that you can take to help you with guilt. It's none you can take to help you with guilt. And so with that in mind, you got to understand that guilt is counterproductive. It's working against you, even though you're feeling it. You feel like it's something that I could do different. It's something I should have done different. You thinking in your mind, you got all this stuff going, but guilt is counterproductive because you cannot get out of it. You cannot get out of it because you're thinking the wrong thoughts. You can't get out of it. And another thing that gets a person stuck is they feel like now that this person is gone, it has been years. It could be months, weeks, years, or whatever, because it takes a time. And I don't want you to think that your emotions are not necessary, because you got to process them. I tell people, if somebody close to you died, don't try to be tough. Don't try to be tough. I remember this guy said to me, man, be strong. I was like, how? That's my mama, man. That's my mama. I'm dead. I don't have no strength right now. And I thank God that I was wise enough to understand that. Because if I tried to be strong when I know on the inside that I was weak, see, my strength was going to come later. My strength was going to come after her death. Not doing it and not doing no funeral. That was where my strength was going to be at. I didn't have none. I didn't have none. Nothing to give. And I thank God that I was able to understand that God's strength is made perfect when we are weak. And so he helped me through it. I didn't have, man, the very thought of knowing that I was going to the cemetery tomorrow and they're going to see, they're going to show me where the hole going to be at, that they're going to dig and put my mama in. Man, that freaked me out, man. But I didn't have nothing. I ain't have nothing to give. So you got people saying, just be strong. No, man, I'm telling y'all this. I'm telling you from what I went through. Don't let nobody fool you into talking about being strong at no funeral and you try to do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Nah, man. Your hurt and your pain is directly connected to the person that you love. So there's nothing wrong with you being weak. You won't stay there. But if you try to be strong, you're going to be stuck. You're going to get stuck. You're really going to get stuck. And I'm telling you that what I've learned how to process through this stuff, because I've seen stuff and I've seen other people. Their child died and they child been dead for 20 years and they have not touched the room. They ain't changed nothing in the room. Nothing. They haven't changed nothing in the room. And let me tell you what I found out. See, that is more about them than it is about their child that's gone. Because it's people that really believe this, and I'm gonna tell you, it's not that they should just come out of it, but it's that they missing an understanding. They missing an understanding. You got some people, and this is something that happens. They got in their mind that it's not that I can't be happy, but I won't be happy. Some people feel like it's wrong for them to be happy again because this person has died. They don't want to laugh. They don't want to laugh. They don't want to go out. They don't want to do nothing. They stuck. Now they in depression. They in confusion. They in a hole. They stuck in a hole. And the reason why they stuck because they feel like it's the right thing to do. My loved one wouldn't be fair to my loved one if I go on with my life. But the truth is, you can't go on. I mean, you have to go on with your life because you're still here. Now, how you go on with your life and the quality of life that you have is your choice. And the final thing you get through all this process, because there's many emotions. I haven't touched on all of them, but there's many emotions. But the final emotion is acceptance. You accept that I couldn't have done nothing about it. It may be hard for me to grasp, but it's nothing I could have done about that. It's nothing that I could have done about it. No matter how much you don't like it or dislike it, it's nothing I could have done about it. But you got people that got in their mind that every year, and this is a choice, because every year, listen to this very carefully, every year that person's birth date or death date is coming up again. If it's a mom, you got Mother's Day coming up, you got Christmas, you got Thanksgiving, you got when y'all met, you got all this stuff coming up. Every year that you live after they died is coming up. So you can do one or two things, because it's going to happen. You can do one or two things every year. You can celebrate their life, or you can grieve or mourn their death. It is your choice. Now, don't get me wrong, because I'm going to tell you, you go through a roller coaster of emotions. My mama been going, and I think it's because I've accepted a lot of stuff. I've accepted it, that I've had times where it would be literally, listen, man, months or weeks weeks or even months that I didn't even think about. I didn't even think, my mama didn't even cross my mind. But when she first died, it was always on my mind. Every waking moment, when I laid down, when I got up, when I ate, when I bathed, everything, when I was working, it was on my mind. because I was trying to process it. But once I got to acceptance, I got to understand that, you know what? My mama is good. My mama is at peace. My mama is at rest. My mama is not suffering anymore. And I had to love her enough to get my mind off of seeing her suffer and realize that, okay, you can see your mama suffer, or either you crying because you want her to still be here. Some people don't want to let a person get off a respirator or nothing when they brain dead and all this and stuff, because they don't want to deal with the truth is, it's about them. It's not about the person that's passed, that's dying, because you can't process it. You can't process it. And so another thing I learned too in the whole process is that your emotions, you're going to go through emotions, express them. If you want to scream, holler, slob out the mouth, cry, do all of that. Get it out, do all of that, because